Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. This is the current community coffee here, and this morning we are focused on the downtown project. So we have a couple guests with us. We have Sean Cole from Planning and Zoning at the city, who's going to talk some of the technical aspects of the project, answer some questions that you may have. We also have Henry Corbin from Main Street Nevada with us, talking more from the business perspective, some of the vision for downtown, where it's going in that regard. So we have some really good resources this morning to share with you, and definitely ask questions like normal, put them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer those. So to kick it off here, we'll give folks maybe another minute or two to click in so they don't miss the beginning. So maybe we'll have Sean, before you get into the actual nuts and bolts of the project, maybe talk about what you do in your role at the city, and that'll give folks some time to click in before we get into the meat and potatoes of the downtown.
Sure. I'm the Planning and Zoning Department, and our responsibilities, we provide staff support to the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Adjustment, who are advisory boards to the council. The Planning and Zoning Commission is, the Board of Adjustment is a kind of a standalone board, but it's still, they're appointed by the council, and they they do help with certain things. We also so that means with the Planning and Zoning, our Planning Commission, we review any site plans that come in. So anybody who's doing building a new commercial or industrial building, we would review. They would prepare a site plan showing where their building's going to be, how that the building in the parking lot is going to affect the stormwater, the rainwater thing. We'll have detention. We'll look at what services they're going to bring in, water, sewer, and those sort of things. And then we will the zoning code allows the zoning administrator, who is me, to accept those plans as they are, as long as they meet the zoning requirements and everything else. So that in itself, from the last zoning ordinance we had, really speeds up the process of getting things kind of done. Because before we had to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they meet monthly, and they've been able to meet every on a bi-weekly basis if they have to, but it's just a little clunky. And since what's being done there fits into the zone, then it does remove a lot of the, I guess, kind of red tape sort of thing. We also review subdivisions. In fact, right now we have reviewed the preliminary plat for the South Glen subdivision, that residential subdivision to the south. And we've made a recommendation to council, and council has, I believe, approved that. The preliminary plat. We're also on last Monday we reviewed an industrial preliminary plat from West F, and that's going to go in, and council's going to be reviewing that on Monday. We recommended to approve it. So those are kind of the things that we do. Also, right now we are staff. I'm one of the staff who reviews the construction drawings for the subdivisions. The Public Works, water, and then streets, and myself and then Larry from HR Green are the people who review that. Right now we're reviewing we reviewed the construction drawings, and right now we're reviewing their comments. And so we'll probably have that ready for council, I hope, on the 22nd. So that's kind of like the planning thing that we do so far, kind of go through. As far as like the we also do building inspections. We're the building department, inspection department, and that means for basically anything that's done that needs a building permit. Anything you do to your house, build a deck and a fence. Those are more zoning things. But we do all the inspections for that, and that goes for single-family dwellings all the way up to like Burke. Ray's involved with the fire chief's involved with all of those things, with the commercial and industrial properties also, and he's also involved with the construction drawings too. You know, placement of hydrants, making sure he can get his equipment turned around on the roads, making sure we, you know, have everything we're doing is safe, and it makes it easy as easy as we possibly can for our fire department. And then one of the other big things that we do is construction observation. We staff, not just myself, but also, you know, we have water, Sean Big for water, Jeremy Riddle for the streets, Dave Harrison for streets. Those guys come in and do a lot of help with it, but we do the construction observation. So when somebody's putting in things like in the new subdivisions, when they're putting in their utilities, the city will be the ones observing the tests, and making the recommendation to Larry, who will come out and he'll walk the site when we ask him to, or even he comes up. He's been up here probably 4 or 5 times in the last 3 weeks just to observe things and kind of make sure that make sure everything's going correctly. So besides that, we're also involved with the downtown. You know, in the construction observation for that. But like I said, it's a whole team thing. We don't do it. City of Nevada is too small for any one department to do anything by themselves. So that's basically, I guess, most of my responsibilities. Plus, I guess whatever else I'm assigned to.
Good morning, Ray. How are you?
I'm good, Mayor. How are you?
Good. So Ray's going to join us because he has an event coming up. But I think it's funny because earlier he's like, "Can I wear a T-shirt?" And I said yes. And apparently we decided to wear matching T-shirts. So
I was actually going through my wardrobe to figure out what would be a good message. So I like this one that we got from the League of Cities. I think it's good.
Yep. And then, so maybe Henry, you want to introduce yourself, talk briefly about what Main Street's doing from a high level, and then we'll dive in on this downtown project.
Yeah, so Henry Corbin, director of Main Street Nevada, and I guess our part in this project is working with Sean and the city on communicating and continuing to get information to the business owners that are in the district and those who are being affected by construction. We're also, with the COVID response, we've been kind of responding twofold on that, and working with businesses to make sure that their voices and their questions are heard, and continuing to try to make the whole experience as painless and enjoyable, and look forward to the future that's coming ahead of us as we go forward with this project. It's been fun to be involved with it, to be honest. Seeing the potential that keeps unfolding ahead of us as this project occurs, and seeing what possibilities are now out there for us as a community. So we're pretty excited to be a part of that.
Sure. So Sean, do you want to dive in, talk about the project? I'm going to try to pull up some photos here so that folks can see some visuals if they haven't been down there themselves. I just pulled up some I have. Henry, if you have some, definitely feel free to cue those up, and we'll just kind of go from there. So Sean, you can take it away.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. I'd just like to add that, yeah, Henry's been a huge help with the downtown. I've been mostly dealing with like the property owners, just because we're doing some things that they need to be involved in. And Henry's been a great liaison and kind of person to bring up issues, or to have, or I guess just get the correct information out for the businesses. So he's been really good about getting that stuff done. It would have been a different project without him. Not nearly as good as it's gone. So I'd like to say thank you for that. Basically, it's part of our CIP. The city of Nevada sits down every year and reviews. It's called the Capital Improvement Plan, and we sit down the same kind of group: Public Works, Water, Sewer, Streets, our engineer, our city clerk and our city administrator sit down and look at our plans to do a capital improvement, which is basically streets, water, sewer, reconstruction. And so we review those things. We extend out probably 20 years, but realistically, it's about every 3 years we do a project. So we have in that 9 to 10 year range is where we're kind of always pretty good at or solid at, and then the rest of it's just kind of what we hope to get done in the future, and barring any other issues that come up. So, like I said, this is part of our CIP. In 2017, we rebuilt 6th Street from the tracks north to I Avenue as part of our CIP, and then the continuation of that is the downtown. So we brought 6th Street up, made it new as one of the entrances to town, and helped. And that's like I said, kind of continuation of the plan of our CIP. And what we've done so far is obviously we've removed 3 blocks of 6th Street. I'd like to say that it's gone better than I ever expected. The business owners have been awesome to deal with. The building owners have been great, and letting us in their buildings, and I guess agreeing to letting the city follow through with their plan. But basically, we're doing a total rebuild of the downtown area from South I Avenue, north of I Avenue to N Avenue or to M Avenue on 6th Street, and then we're doing a block east and west between 7th and 5th, all the way up with that. So it's quite a project. It's the biggest project that we've ever done, and it's the most intrusive project that we've ever done. We've never actually ever gone inside, and most of the time, cities, definitely municipalities and other government agencies, do their best to stay off of private property, but we have actually, gotten inside public property every time, and or private property, and I guess we've been welcomed to it. But basically, we're removing all the street, we're removing the sewer, the water, and the storm, and we're bringing that all up to current standards. The one big difference in all those things is the amount of storm sewer and the size of the storm sewer that we do. It was never really wasn't that big of a concern at the time when stuff like this was put in. And as part of that, we are bringing the services into the buildings also. That's I think that's kind of the hidden gem of this project, is that a lot of those buildings, if you're going to utilize them in the way that a lot of people wish to, they have to be updated. And one of the things that has to be updated is the services. The sewer services, a lot of them were old and just didn't work very well, and that's part of 100 years of use, and there was time for them to be fit, to be repaired and replaced, and it's a big expense tearing up 6th Street and things like that. So I'm glad that we were able to be involved in that. The other thing is we've upsized the water services to be able to, if somebody wants to put a restaurant in or put apartments upstairs, they're able to do that, and they're able to do that with water pressure and flow with water flow that people would expect in a modern building. And then we've also helped bring in a storm line, which a few people have put in, sump pumps, but it helps dry out those basements too. So, and just 1 or 2 pumps will help dry out the entire downtown, just because they'll work until they lower the water table enough that's going to be the level of it is a few feet below those basements. So that's all kind of a positive. When we were putting it back, where we've done some streetscaping things, we're going to be putting those things in, but I guess that's basically the nuts and bolts of it. We started in March. It's now June. We are farther ahead than I had anticipated, and I think pretty much anybody else had also. A lot of that's the weather. We've had really good weather, and just the simple cooperation of everybody. It just made everything go that much smoother. But right now, we're probably about 2 weeks away from opening up 6th Street from I to J. So that's really exciting. It's going to be nice to show a block of what it is that it's going to look like and help people understand kind of what we're doing. Right, they're working out there right now today, getting ready to get some of that concrete the sidewalks poured, so we can come in and get the street lights in and get the brick in here, and get that going. As far as the other 2 blocks, we're done utility-wise on between J and K. And we've got right now we're running services into the buildings on the east side. We've got about a week of that, and then we've got about a week of water, and we've got about a week of running services in on the west side. But they'll kind of split the crews around, so I'm hoping that it's probably about 2.5 weeks of work for that, and we'll turn that over to Construct, and On Track will drop down and work on the alley from I to J there on the east side of 6th Street, and then we will start working on J Avenue. Construct said that they wanted to wait until they had 2 blocks to work on, so they'll start that probably in maybe about 3 weeks is when I would look at them to come in and start working on that. And then for a lot of the stuff, they should go just about as fast with 1 block as they did with 2. The main paver, they can pave that in a day. The parking areas on the sides, they can pave both of those, I think, in a day, both blocks. Obviously the sidewalks are a little bit more work and will take a little bit more time, but I'm still comfortable with saying that maybe the 1st of August-ish, somewhere in that area, weather permitting and everything continuing to go well, that we might be opening up those other 2 blocks. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to working through that, but that's kind of where we're at, and that's kind of what we're doing.
Sean, we had one request here in the chat to kind of repeat, what might be open when, and then the question is, when you say open, does that mean for when all
traffic,
including the sidewalks, or is that just vehicles? So maybe talk a little bit about, what the public can expect to open and when.
Okay, when I said open, that's to everything. We were not going to open it until we're all done. Technically, I suppose we could open up the road, but it really wouldn't go very far if we were working on the sidewalks. It's just easier for everybody to keep that a construction zone. Work goes a lot faster. You have some looky-loos, which is understandable. Who wouldn't want to drive over and take a look at it? But it's just a safer environment when we don't have vehicles on the road. So when I say open, I mean we're done. Everybody's off that block. Everything is finished, and we're moving on. The construction is all finished. And like I said, I would say probably in 2 weeks we should have between I and J open, 6th Street. Now that's, I guess once again, weather is probably not that big of an issue, but it's also based on how, everything that works. I mean, Construct doesn't have a giant emergency that they have to go to do somewhere else. There isn't any breakage in equipment that we need or use or whatever else. As long as everything goes well, it should be in about 2 weeks. As far as the rest of it, we're done on between J and K. That Construct could be working on right now, but they're, obviously they've bid other jobs. They're working other places. So said that they've said that they want to wait until they have 2 blocks to work on, which is fine. That fit in the schedule of the old staging plan that we had. Not those 2 blocks, but 2 blocks was kind of what we were looking at. So, up as far as between K and Lincoln Way, like I said, we've gotten 2 services in the buildings on the east side. We've got 1 service on the west side. By the end of next week, we should be finishing up the services on the east side, and they should be starting to finish up the services on the water on the east side. They're going to flip over to the west side and run services into there. So I'd say I give us about 3 weeks. Once again, weather permitting, no breakage, no giant emergencies elsewhere that would drag them away. About 3 weeks, we should be opening up that road to construct to start to work on. And I mean, you're probably looking at probably at least a month, a little bit more, to get the roads ready to open up. And like I said, when I say open, I mean open. We're not going to open anything and still have work to do. It's just there's just too much conflict there. Not that anything's people are in the way. They're the ones that are paying for it, so it's not that. It's just this the conflict of construction is kind of a dangerous job, and a dangerous construction zones are a dangerous area. And when you mix people in who don't know how to move in those areas, it just creates issues. And so we want to try to keep those places closed until we are done. So I know there's probably be some frustration that we've got bricklayers, got people laying brick in, and then everything else looks done, or painting. That's another thing that it's always kind of a painters. There are small. There's only a few painting companies around, and they're hard to schedule. So we might have to wait for a while before we get everything painted too. But I'd say probably in about 3 weeks we'll be turning that over. So, like I said, in around the 1st of August-ish, we should be opening up those last 2 blocks. So between between I and Lincoln Way, we should be opened up around the 1st of August-ish in that area. I mean, it's not an exact science. I mean, construction, we get done with what we can get done with. I mean, it's more important that it lasts forever than it got done a day earlier.
And you may have said this while I was pulling up some photos. So I know there had been discussion about, do you continue up to M from Lincoln, or do you come back down to the alleys in J? Did you say they're going to do the alleys in J, or what's the discussion about that with 6th Street?
Well, we'd like to be able to drop back down. We're kind of getting ahead of our if we go through Lincoln Way, we're kind of getting ahead of our skis here on some of this. Some of the work on the side streets kind of need to be done so we can kind of complete the project up to Lincoln Way. Okay. We have storm sewer there that's running up to J Avenue that's going to wing off and then run all the way up the alleys. And so we'd like to be able to get that done before we would move north to Lincoln Way, north of Lincoln Way. So my advice and my hope is that we would drop back down and finish things off between going north. Sure. Instead of going north.
That makes sense. We did have a question about the sidewalks and said, there's still some sidewalks in front of the stores. When will that be removed, when it's redone, and for pedestrian access, what that's going to look like when they get to that stage?
Cool. No, we've actually talked about that quite a bit. When they're going to start being done down there is Monday. We're going to start removing the sidewalks for half of the block on Monday on the east side. This is an easy one to do. There's only 2 buildings on that side. I have talked to Phil. Phil's said that he didn't need access out of his front door. So we're just he's got a rear and side door, and he's notified his tenants. So we're going to tear that out and replace it. And on Wednesday night, they'll be able to start walking on it. Kind of the same thing with Rogers Building to the north. We've talked to the business owners in that building, and we've worked out a schedule with them from like Wednesday to Friday. So as far as like going otherwise, going north of that, we have, like I said, we've discussed that quite a bit, Construct and I. We're never really going to not have access to the front. I mean, it's going to be it might be a little bit difficult. We've got, when they tear it out, obviously if somebody wants to walk up there, walk along the street and then walk into a business, they're going to be able to do that. We'll just stop and let people through and then, let that go. Otherwise, after we get it poured, we can, and I think they're working on like a bridge sort of thing that we can set on the curb and be able to bridge across the concrete to get into the buildings. Obviously, it's much easier for us if they use the alleys and the back doors. But if that's not really something that's feasible, that we will be able to get them in pretty much any time that they want during the project. Like I said, obviously we will stop and talk. Henry and I have been doing a weekly stop and talk on those things, and we will, when we get to the point where we're going to be pouring sidewalks and starting to do that, we will stop and hit every business and discuss that with every business before we even get started. And we'll have a plan set up for it. If they say I got to have the front door, we'll work to make sure they keep the front door. If they say, hey, I can use the back door for a couple of days, that's awesome, and we'll do that. But it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be tricky, but we'll make it work.
Sure. One other question that came in is the best way to get in touch with planning and zoning for residential projects.
It's the 382-5466 number.
Okay.
That gets you to City Hall, and the messages get up to here. I know I'm out a lot, but I do definitely try to return those phone calls either that day or that next morning. So I do apologize. I'm not available as much as I sometimes am, but we're just really busy.
Sure. And then there's one question, I think I know the answer to that, was about the finish width of the sidewalk, and will that be the same? And the plan, Sean will correct me if I'm wrong, the sidewalk was going to be the same. The banding was going to be a little bit narrower, so the decorative banding, and that was to allow deeper parking spots, because since the project was last done, pickup trucks are longer and tend to hang out and cause some issues with the traffic. So the parking stalls themselves are 1 foot deeper, so that's a foot less of decorative banding, but the walking area was going to be the same. Is that correct, Sean?
Yes, 100%. Yep.
Perfect. So with that, maybe we will let Ray preview his event coming up this week regarding fire.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been focused on is the desirability for the downtown to have residential housing up above a lot of our businesses. That's a really new trend that seems to be very fashionable, having a business down on the first floor and residential above. These buildings are actually designed for that. And then through the course of time, they've kind of sat mostly abandoned. There are some apartments that are still active up there. But one of the issues is when you bring a building up to more than 50% value of renovation, or you change occupancy, or you inhabit a building that has not been inhabited, you have to bring that building up to modern day fire codes. And so with the R2 or the residential type housing, it would require sprinkled. Many business owners choose not to develop because of the cost of the sprinkler system. Well, this project has been really good for everyone because Sean had the foresight to think about that code requirement, and there are actually connections in the water systems that our business owners can actually tap into and provide that water into the building. What I'm really excited about is, or I tell people, buildings come down one of three ways. Either we tear them down, they fall down, or they burn down. And as the fire chief, I'm obviously against buildings burning down. In the late 1800s, the 1000 block of 6th Street burned completely to the ground, caused a huge financial impact for our community. And then 2 years later, after it was renovated, it burned down again. So if you look at some of the major news about folks that are impacted by fires in their downtown Ogden, we don't have to go very far to see that. And so my goal as fire chief is to assure that we preserve our history by protecting our history. So what we are doing is partnering with the National Fire Sprinkler Association on June 10th at 1:30. We are going to start a nationwide webinar that's going to focus on the Main Street of Nevada. Henry's going to be involved. Sean will be there to answer any questions. And really, we're bringing in the nation's experts to talk about the impact of historic downtown fires. We're going to talk about, it's sort of a micro, how to reinvigorate your downtown and build it. And so we're excited that a number of folks, John Augustus is going to showcase being a building owner and some of the decisions he's had to make in trying to decide on whether to renovate or leave it vacant as opposed to putting a sprinkler system in. So we're excited. Shane Ray is a perfect example. He's a former fire marshal in South Carolina, and he'll be talking about some of the famous historic fires that they've experienced in South Carolina. Jeff Hugo is an international code consultant that will talk about some of the trade-offs. If you look at some of our buildings are built, in that 1900s or a little earlier time frame, a lot of the things needed now by code, like 2 exits off the second floor, hallway width of 48 inches, things like that are not able to be met. And so by adding a sprinkler system, you can trade a lot of those things off. So really, it's about protecting our identity of who we are as a community while making our buildings safe. And for me personally, it's about protecting our firefighters to make sure that we have safe buildings that our firefighters can go in should we have an event. So we're really excited about it. The best part of the day for me, at the end of the day at 6 p.m., we're going to do a live side-by-side burn of 2 living rooms. One will be sprinkled and one will be a traditional. And so the public is encouraged to come up. We're going to have cones spaced off every 6 feet so you can maintain your family unit but still have some distance from other people. But I think at the end of the day, the public's going to walk away with a deeper appreciation of just how deadly and quick a fire can be. And so as I've always said, fire is everyone's fight. And a lot of people in 1973, the Congress said that public apathy was the #1 cause of fires, that people just don't understand the impact of fire until it happens to them. So we're excited to showcase our community on a national scale. There'll be people online that can answer those questions. And it really is the who's who of the fire world. And Henry's going to give a great presentation on what's going on downtown and the history of downtown. And I couldn't ask for better partners in this.
Awesome. Yeah, so Henry, maybe talk a little bit about what Main Street has cooking and where you see it going from that regard.
Yeah, so I guess going back on the event on June 10th, we're kind of excited because one of the main parts of Main Street is that education aspect. And so, we want to make sure our building owners and the business owners have every opportunity to learn all the options that are out there on their spaces and to be as informed on what they can do as a building owner and business owner with their building, their space, and what potentials are out there. And so when we were approached on this idea, it fell right into that category. And with the individuals who are participating in this and just the sheer knowledge and experience that comes with all these individuals, it was a great opportunity. And so we were pretty excited to put that forward. They've been a great group of people to work with. It's been a good group to put this together on. So we're excited about it because we think there'll be little bits and pieces out of it that will apply to everyone. And so we're excited about it, and hopefully it'll be a good event. The live burn, I think, will be a great demonstration and really show people the tangible facts of it. And so just falling in line with that, we're excited to bring events like this to the district. It's something we've been wanting to do. With recent events, we haven't been able to do anything like this until this point. So it was very exciting, and it's going to be a great group of people. So I highly encourage business owners, building owners, and even just residents of the community to tune in, because it will be informational for all those groups.
And I'd like to add that one of the big pieces for our building owners is there's a section on some of the federal tax incentives for putting safety upgrades into your buildings right now. So while it may seem expensive, there are some really good trade-offs with tax incentives that will be favorable for businesses. And then the other thing that I would point out is the downtown is really the heartbeat, in my opinion. If you look, the downtown was the first location that will have the store's equipped hydrants for Quick Connect for our fire department. And I think that signals a lot of protecting the history of our community while putting the latest in public safety upgrades to that community, to that area of the downtown. So again, I think we're rebranding, we're revitalizing our downtown. And if you're not seeing it, boy, you're missing something, because there is a lot going on. And I can attest to Sean Cole being busy. I mean, we're looking at the plans right now for a $42 million wastewater treatment plant. The Burke agreement, we were out on approval of accessing their new freezer and the new paint booth at Mid-States. And so there's a lot of projects going on in our community that require that partnership and the inspection component of it. And so there's plenty of work to be done.
Yeah, so that tees up a couple questions here that are coming in. So you mentioned tax incentives for sprinklers. Are there grant programs available also to help sprinklers?
Yeah, and so that's what Vicki Pritchard, she's the vice president of the National Fire Sprinkler Association. She is actually one of the people that will be talking about that. In fact, in the historic district, there's a very big commitment in protecting historic buildings. If you look at the state capitol, that was not sprinkled until not too long ago. But there are grants available. It's a matter of trying to find the historic grants. There's different cultural grants that are available. And then again, with the tax incentives, I'm not a tax person. I know John Augustus has looked at some of these trade-offs. I know over at Mid-States, they've looked at some of the tax incentives and found that now is the time to do it if you're going to do it, because these federal tax incentives do have a sunset clause. And we've always, and the other thing about that is it also pays for different upgrades to your building. So if you were to put fire alarms or hood and duct systems or just improve your building, Vicki, you definitely want to tune into this, and Vicki will be able to provide some guidance on those opportunities and where to find those grants.
Mm-hmm. And that tees up the next question. So if people are working Wednesday and they can't watch it, will they be able to watch it later?
Yep, we'll be broadcasting it through all our Facebook channels, but they'll also be making a recording of it. I guess National Fire Sprinkler Association has expressed that this is an opportunity for them also, because this training is going to cover what they do in their usual live trainings. And so it really allows them to educate even more of a population. And so they're going to record it. We'll have a copy of that. It'll probably be shared on the Main Street Facebook page also. But there will be recorded versions of it out there for individuals to watch.
Awesome.
And you can go to our Facebook page. Both of our Facebook pages has the event. You can click on the Microsoft Teams link at 1:30 on June 10th to see the presentations. And then I think the other thing that's kind of significant about this is the first time they've chosen the city to do this. They've done a nationwide program on National Home Fire Sprinkler Week, but this is the first time they've showcased a community that's in the heart of these tough decisions. And one of the things that I will tell you from the fire department's perspective, as the street is tore up, now is the time to get the water in your building. Now is the time to get your riser put in the building. We can deal with the sprinkler system as you start to retrofit, but now is the time to take advantage. Like John was telling us, he said, I hadn't anticipated my street being tore up because we moved the project forward, but I've got to make some quick decisions. And as I've told many people, get the water into your building equipped for a sprinkler. We can deal with the sprinkler as you start to renovate, because it's much cheaper to do it when things are in a state of construction than to tear it out again.
Sure. Okay, so what other things does Main Street have in the pipeline and vision for coming opportunities?
Yeah, so I guess this whole project kind of opens up numerous opportunities. The downtown project, some of those are kind of the fun, the aspects that come after all the groundwork's been done. So we've started to look at, some form of streetscaping. So planters, benches, things along that line, looking to partner with the city to pursue things along those lines. And it's kind of those, not that the project and the results of that aren't enjoyable, but kind of the fun, enjoyable secondary parts of the project. And so the other thing that we're going to have a large, we're pursuing now is signage. So our design committee has started a subcommittee which will look at signage for the district, whether that be within the district, but also around the community, looking to increase our presence and increase the knowledge that's out there that what we have downtown, because that's something we've identified that we could improve on. There's a lot of room to improve on it. And so we started a subcommittee on our design committee to pursue that. And I'm going to do a selfless pitch here. If anyone's interested in being a part of this committee, design is a great committee that we have. It's one of our 4. But this committee will look, the subcommittee for signage will look at business signage for downtown, directing people there, directing people to the district, and just all the aspects that come with that. And so we're excited for that. But then also, if you have a passion for looking at the planters and the benches and the streetscaping that'll go with this project once it's done, let us know, because we'd love to have more on our group. And so it's something exciting that we're looking forward to once all the groundwork is done. And so we just are looking forward and excited on the possibilities with it.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity. We've been having on the back burner directional signage throughout the whole community to direct people around town. And so we kind of put that on hold because the downtown project and directional signage there is obviously one of the most critical pieces of that whole thing, and we wanted it to be cohesive. So thankful that Main Street has some good expertise to lend to make sure we get that project right. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Henry, or any other fun things going on?
Yeah, so
yesterday about donuts that caught my eye. So that's
yes, we've had a lot of questions on it. So for those of you who have seen the Facebook post and those who haven't, yesterday was National Donut Day, and we had kind of a fun secret unveiling of a business which will be coming to the downtown district, and it is a donut shop bakery. Now I can't say who it is or where it is yet. We're having a little fun with them on making it a fun unveiling, but they're great people. They've been great to work with, and I think the community, it's something that they desire. Just going off of surely the comments and the interactions on Facebook, I think people are very excited. The business is moving full speed ahead. They've even worked with local craftsmen. So the photo we shared was their donut case, and that's been done by a local craftsman, Luke Ulrich with Great Plains Millwright, and he has done an amazing job on that piece. And it's been amazing to see that it originally came out of their basement and was the original counter for the store that was in their building. And so it's gone full circle. It's been with that building since almost the beginning, and now it'll be going back as another purpose. But it's been fun that they could work with local craftsmen to build such an heirloom now.
I can't wait to see the building when it's done. I think it'll be great for us, and then just to have some place to take people. I think it'll be a real big draw, and so I'm already planning to have to spend about twice as much time in the gym after that bakery opens. I've taste tested some of those donuts in the past from those particular bakers, and they're legit. So
oh yeah, it's I've said our gyms around the community are going to get a lot more business with this. So we're creating a supply for them. So we're excited about it. The work that they've done on the space that it's going into, that's something that's so amazing. These buildings have subtle beauty that over the years has either been hidden or just needs a little bit of polish. And their space has just had that potential, and they've just done the best they can do with that space. And so we are excited to see it, and excited to enjoy it and experience the donuts.
So Sean, we'll kind of shift back to downtown. So got a question about the lampposts and whether they'll be the same or different than what was there before.
They're going to be a little bit different. Oh, they're going to be quite a bit different than what was there before. The other one's kind of lit up. These are going to be more pointed down. To kind of give you an example, the ones that are around City Hall, that's what they're going to look like.
Yeah. So less like a runway at night, and
yeah, the landing strip is probably going to be gone. It's going to be a lot more just kind of a subtle light. Yep.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about the balance between having it not have too much light pollution, but also showcase the neat architecture we have downtown. So especially, in wintertime, about 4:30, it's starting to get dark. So we wanted folks to be able to see the neat architecture without lighting up the whole area with too much light. So it won't be as yellow either. It'll be more of a natural light. Is that also correct, Sean? Am I remembering that right?
Yep, that's 100% correct. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll look really sharp. I know we've seen some mock-ups of what the lighting will look like. I don't have any at my fingertips to show you right now. Maybe we can
I know. I was thinking about that too. I can't find mine.
Yeah. So Sean, when you find it, just send it to me, and I'll put it here in the comments so that folks that are interested might be able to see it later. I think that'll look neat. And yeah, we got a question about a celebration when it's done. Absolutely, I think we will need to do that. I think we should, knock on wood, be on the other side of COVID by the time it's done, and this community be ready for a nice big celebration. So, and actually thinking about it, the construction season goes into next year for this project. We might be around Lincoln Highway Days might be an appropriate time to celebrate the project and all that too for next 2021. So I'm sure we'll have lots of ideas on how to appropriately do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the things that we are adding, because as a person who's been involved in some of the downtown celebrations, is we're adding electricity to the downtown. We're basically running a couple of what would basically call like camper hookups for like food trucks or whatever else electricity needs that we have. That was always kind of a Achilles heel of the downtown, is that there wasn't easy access to electricity. So we will be providing that to help out with those sort of things, the celebrations and stuff.
Yeah, I think that'll be really nice. Ragrise come through. We've had to scramble to pull power from all sorts of random places. So having it readily available for street vendors and things, I think will definitely make our downtown, and things like Valley Junction, we looked at the stuff they have and other communities have. And so, yeah, that's an exciting addition because the hookups on the light poles didn't have nearly enough power to them. So a lot more electricity to downtown for this project.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, Marlis had a question about decorative elements. So yeah, they will be different than before. So before we had some stamped concrete, And I am one of the many people who have had unfortunate incidents on that stamped concrete in the wintertime. I remember coming out of Fitness Advantage more than a decade ago, slipped and fell. Two police cruisers were passing each other, and I jumped up real quick and they asked if I was hurt, and I was like, only my pride, I'm good. So definitely had a lot of drawbacks to that stamped concrete. So there will be some different pavers in place, but they'll be put in a real nice secure bed so that they won't move, they won't rock, they won't be nearly as slick as what was there before. It'll be, Sean, it'll be kind of similar to tying what's already around City Hall. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you go out to the front of City Hall, along 6th Street and look at the back of the curb, that's pretty much what you're gonna find there. And I would like to say that we, in the bump outs, those will be all brick. And currently, we did get our, we got a few brick in, a larger brick in, and we're having them etched. So I'm hoping that when we get to that bump out, we can have those etchings of the Lincoln Way, the Jefferson Highway. I think we have the Nevada N, and then we also got one from Henry for Main Street. So we'll get those 4 out, and then we'll be able to kind of determine how those fit in, and then we can kind of go from there. So I'm kind of excited about that too. Being able to get those brick, get them etched, and then, kind of decide how to fit those in those bump outs.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that too, because one thing, we've had a community betterment committee that had worked on the Lincoln Jefferson Highway Park there at City Hall, and with the banners and the art sign, and then those interpretive panels, and really trying to tie into that heritage, because it's unique to have the first east-west transcontinental highway and one of the first north-south all intersect here with all that history. Makes it unique. Folks travel coast to coast on those highways. They're definitely a tourism draw. And, I remember Mayor Gull used to say, we need a theme. And, I said, well, we can't decide we're Scandinavian like Story City, and it needs to be organic. And so it's neat how Lincoln Highway Days came. We're the only community that with the Lincoln Highway Days Festival. And so it's real natural fit. And so I'm excited to have that theme kind of go through the downtown. And so when we first started talking, I said, can we stamp the concrete? Can we do this? Can we do this? And Sean had the great idea about etching those pavers that were already going to be part of the project to bring some of that into the downtown. So I'm excited to see how that turns out too. Question about lampposts. Are they just going north and south, or will there be some on side streets?
They'll be all on the side streets too. I think there's probably going to be, I don't know how many. I'd have to look, but yeah, they'll be on the side streets too. Yes.
Okay. And then Marlis asked about brick at Lincoln Highway and 6th. So Sean, the intersection won't be brick. Was there any talk about any in the crosswalks or anything still, or she asked where that landed?
No, there won't be. They're just a maintenance problem out in the street. Yep. So we're gonna try to keep them all in the bump outs. And the bump out won't extend into Lincoln Way, but it will extend at that intersection onto 6th Street. So yeah, we're not going to do any. We don't have any plans to do anything in the street.
Yeah, for sure. And then Chuck asked about the phasing. So I'll recap my understanding of Sean earlier about going from Lincoln to M. So there are some things that need to be wrapped up at the other intersections, J and K, before this construction season can end. So is that correct, Sean? It looks like that'll probably be next year that you'll go north of Lincoln.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Next year, when we go north of Lincoln Highway, we will close that intersection. We'll go to M, and then we'll drop back down, and we will work on Lincoln Way from 5th to 7th. So that'll all be just kind of one project. So when that intersection closes, it'll be closed for the entire project until we're done.
All sorts of good comments in there. So Rebecca brought up ADA. So that's one really great thing about this project, is making our downtown accessible to everyone. I'm really excited. really excited about that. The side, and that's part of why, you know, we've, those of you that have been around, people ask about why the bump outs. A lot of the bump outs are because of ADA, to get the grading needed for people to safely access our downtown. There will be more handicap accessible, van accessible spots in the downtown area. It'll definitely be a lot safer to traverse for all sorts of people. So that's one great advantage to that. Some businesses are taking the opportunity to make their entrances more ADA compliant as well through that. But yeah, that's one great feature.
Yeah, that's a big positive, and it drives a lot of what we do. Yeah, you know, that requirement to get that done. And you're right. That's the big thing with those bump outs. Otherwise, you'd be dropping the grade down a lot of those buildings there on the corner, and they'd have to have like another step or something like that. So, yeah, it's good. I like being able to do that.
That's something we've seen on our end too, is building owners and some business owners looking at, you know, how could they make their space ADA compliant, and, you know, is it feasible? How can it be done? And so we're working with a few of them downtown, just kind of looking at the idea, seeing what the possibilities are, kind of developing just a plan on, you know, organizing their thoughts and seeing what opportunities are out there and how they can do them. And so it's really spurred that on in recent months.
Making it just more pedestrian friendly, easier to cross the streets and all that. Yeah, I'm just super excited about what this will do. You know, taking out 100-year-old infrastructure, bringing it up to modern standards, getting things up to ADA, really setting up the downtown to be successful for a long time. So this project will definitely impact the community forever, and it's exciting to get to be part of it. I know the community is excited too to preserve the downtown for the next generation. So yeah, like I see all these pictures of all the great things that have been in the downtown through the years, and it's exciting to see movement back that way, see new businesses getting prepared to open downtown, to bring some of that flavor back, both literally and figuratively, that the downtown used to have. So it's an exciting time to be part of Nevada. I know Main Street's done an incredible job of just breathing new life into the downtown, and I know we'll continue to do that too. So with that, we'll do final call for questions here. I'll let, it's about 20 to 30 second delay over to Facebook land. So we'll see if folks start typing some things in. But yeah, anybody, Sean or Henry, what are your big plans for the weekend?
Ride my bike and mow my lawn, probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully run, not in the middle of the day, because it's getting to the time of year that I don't want to do that in the middle of the day. But yeah, definitely have some mowing in my future, so I'm gonna figure out when to fit that in the best too. But
yep, I would echo mowing and then breaking out the grill tonight. That's my only plan.
yeah, because it's getting hot, and I said, well, I enjoy mowing less. Not that I ever really enjoy it, but I enjoy it less when it's hot. But then when it gets hot, the grass grows slower, so I have to mow less. So I'm trying to look at the bright side there.
You got a big yard too.
Yeah, it takes me a long time because I have a not the ideal mower for it, but it's good time to listen to podcasts and things. So that's how I try to catch up on my podcast while I mow the grass. Yeah, Kathy Vincent asked if there's a place where they can get information about buildings that are still empty and looking for vendors or business owners, from both pop-up opportunities to longer-term tenants. And that sounds like a great Henry Corbin question.
Yeah, so we've been developing a centralized spot for that. So our Main Street website will be rolling out here soon, and we're working on how we can possibly integrate that exact thing onto that website. And it's just with recent events, the website unveiling and rolling out got delayed a little bit, but we're looking forward to doing that in the short term. And there'll be a spot there to find that information. So we'll send out some updates on when you can expect the website to go live, and that'll be constantly, we'll be filling in the info. And so I throw that out to building owners too, and business owners. If you have a space that, you know, fits fits those outlines, if it's a vacant space and you're looking for a tenant, or you're looking for someone, maybe a pop-up or something along those lines, let us know, and we hope to be able to help out on that process.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that new website too. I know NEDC has a new website they're getting ready to do. And with the city, Marlis Barker is going to start as a communications director on Monday. So she's already been researching websites too. So the city, we are in desperate need of a new website. I would like some better mobile opportunities too, and just have more functional features for the community to interface with how they need to interface. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll probably do a coffee all about communications things in the near future. So we'll get Marlis on the video. I know she loves it a lot. But yeah, with that, doesn't look like there are any more questions coming in. So we'll sign off. Thanks, Sean, for all your expertise and for guiding this project. I know everybody appreciates your hard work behind the scenes doing all that. And Henry, for everything you and your Main Street board do.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks. It's fun. Yeah, it's a cool thing to be involved in. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm excited for our first big celebration that was brought up downtown. That'll be really fun to be able to take advantage of it all and show it off. So, yeah, it'll be a real nice showcase.
Yes. Yep.
We're excited. I think people are just waiting for the moment.
Yep, for sure. Okay, well, thanks. We'll sign off and have a good weekend, everyone.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.